Welcome to another episode of Venture Unlocked, and we are thrilled to welcome Stephen Hargett, a visionary thinker who thrives thinking outside the box. And Stephen is running his own startup named Wrkspace, and as a founder of Wrkspace, he has different kind of experience of navigating through the entrepreneurial landscape. He's based out of US, and let's take some insight with Stephen about his fundraise journey and the challenges he faced and the valuable lessons that we can take from Stephen. So welcome Stephen to Venture Unlocked.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
So, Stephen, to start the conversation, first I want to give you a little bit about Venture Unlocked. What I want to unlock here is what was the founder facing at the time of raising the fund during their startup. So, I want to just unlock that journey. If they have any questions, they can come to my videos and they can get some insight. So, we can start with your introduction and your experience. Like you have good experience of around 20 plus years, and you worked with companies like Tesla, Apple, and WeWork. In India, we all know all these three companies, and rest of all are it's one of the known companies in India. So can you start with your introduction and give us some
Of
insights?
course. Of course. So, hi, I'm Stephen, co-founder and CEO of Wrkspace. We are a platform that is automating the process for you to find the right space, whether it's event space, collaborative space, and or office space. We do that through 3 steps. We're going to find the space, transact or negotiate on space, and then also manage the space through. And what's super unique about our platform is that we can meet anyone in each part. Let's say you have found and you negotiated, we can then manage that space through. Or let's say you already have a management company, but you need to find more space, we can find and transact. So super flexible, super unique platform that allows for us to have people find the right space. And it's interesting. So I got a lot of my collaborative space industry experience working at WeWork. Tripled their operations in Los Angeles, particularly. Went from 14 buildings to 41 buildings. Worked on a lot of different interesting projects where it came from intentionality of an architecture and how do you build an experience within physical space. But then, I got my first start in technology when I worked at Apple. As everyone that started at Apple, you're a specialist. So you're just selling, we used to call it internally the fruit stand, right? So you're selling at the fruit stand. And from there, had a phenomenal opportunity to get behind the scenes and start to work on the creative team and then also the team that fixed the computers. So the genius team. So I used to be a genius, which is still the weirdest thing to say. And it was super interesting because I got to understand what physical product did for people and how it was, your second largest purchase you would make. And just the empowerment that it had for ourselves to really ensure that we found the right solution, right? So going through training and working at Apple, the number one thing that we were always told is that everybody who leaves this experience, you need to have a transformational experience. And I would say that's one of the core values that I have. And what transformational experience really means is that they come to you here, right? You have an experience and then they leave over here with the right solution and to ensure that it's the total solution. So a lot of the techniques that we would use is, really asking open-ended questions to understand their needs and values. And that experience alone really understands why, their products are so good. You hear internally, we heard a lot of function meets design. And when those two come together, that means that you have something. And as we all know, Apple's products are the quintessential definition of design meaning function. Like they work very, very well, but they also look amazing. Then I had the pleasure, the honor to work at Tesla for a bit. When I started there, they just released Tesla Model X with the doors. And then when I left, they announced Tesla Model 3. So I got
Nice.
to see the full evolution. And then in the middle of that, we did a fascia update on the Tesla Model S. So the cars that you see today, I was there, as they were being produced, as they were being thought of and whatnot. A lot of the opportunities, and the interesting part about that company, very, very similar to Apple, where it's extremely, how do you say, extremely like vision oriented, whereas like we're trying to get to this destination to, to ensure that, we're doing our part when it comes to sustainability and having a more sustainable earth. But working there was super fascinating. It was an opportunity for me to really get even further into like what it takes to have not only a startup, but what it takes to have an immense amount of innovation and ingenuity to problem solve, right? On the surface, you're just selling a car. Let's be real. But internally, we're really actually trying to get folks that really understand their part in this bigger thing called life. And all my experiences throughout my career have really led me to what I'm doing today, which is trying to think about the really big problem. And from there's some simple, actionable solutions you could have in order to solve this big problem, right? Like, what's funny is that when Workspace first started, it was people over here, space over here, connect the two. And as we started to do more customer interviews and customer engagements, we found that the space over here is so important for how the people over here show up and do what they do best. So
Got it.
instead of just making this marketplace, it's more so can we produce a thing where people can feel like when they find the right space, they can be their most authentic self.
Got it. So, like in Workspace, like as your journey started around 3 years ago.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, like in these 3 years, what about the fundraising? How you started? You started as a bootstrap startup, or like you raised the fund with the help of friends and family, or how your fundraising journey happens for the Workspace?
I have to laugh at this because we did it all, right? So when we first got the idea, I was like, oh, this is a phenomenal idea. I have the industry expertise. I have the team. I'm going to go out and raise this pre-seed, this $1.5 million pre-seed. And that was in 2021, 2022. And, excuse me. And I just thought it was funny. I was like, I'm going to go do it. I had a pitch deck. I started to send to investors. I was having investor conversations and nothing. I'm like, but you said, have this pitch deck, have a real problem, have a real solution, have industry expertise because you're invested in the founder. And I'm like, yeah, I hit all of those. Nothing. So that was in 2022. And then, frankly, the project got scrapped, and I went on about my life. Fast forward to 2023, later that year, I am at this basketball game, ironically enough, playing in pickup. And I remember that's when I met my co-founder during the game. And we were walking back to our cars. We hit it off. We talked. Derek is amazing. And he was like, I'll work on this with you. So I was like, oh, we back. So we went back out to fundraise because I was like, now I have a technical co-founder. You should give me my money, right? And nothing. And so then I talked to a couple of folks. They said, you know what, maybe lower it to 500K. Okay, we lowered to 500K. Still nothing. And then I had an advisor who literally changed the trajectory of our company. He sat us down and he said, how do you know people are going to buy this? I'm like, because it makes sense. He's
Okay.
like, but do you know they're going to buy it? Have they bought it? And I went, no. And he goes, well, this is what I suggest you do. I suggest you go into the back alley, open your coat, and see who would buy from you. That was a Tuesday. We got our first customer Thursday. Then we have gone bootstrapping. What's great and what's been a blessing about bootstrapping thus far is that now we reopened our pre-seed at 1.5 and are doing pretty well in talking to investors, being a really thick investor pipeline and looking to close this round in the next couple of months. And the reason why we did that is because now we have real traction, right? We have real traction. We have real customers. We're solving it. We know that we're solving a real problem, and people are willing to pay us for it. And it's put us in some really interesting rooms that I would not have even imagined if we had a fundraise on the front end. Because I think that if we had a fundraise when we first got out, we wouldn't be here with the opportunities that are knocking at our door from a revenue perspective if we already got the cash up front. And I think that bootstrapping journey, because right now, we reach capacity for our abilities to do our work, right? And we have more demand than we have capacity, which is, I guess, a beautiful problem to have, right? But what's interesting is that like being in this situation now and having investor conversations has been significantly better. Don't want to say easier, but way better.
Got it. So, is there community based funding and crowdfunding is how's it going on in your area in US?
Crowdfunding is interesting. I think that it depends on the platform that you source from. We did a small crowdfunding campaign, yielded some leads, I would say. Some of the better platforms, your WeFunders, your Start Engine, Indiegogos, I think that they're really great for software-based companies. And then
Got it.
obviously you have your Kickstarters, that's great for product-based. I would also say that what's great about crowdfunding is that you can get in community and an audience practically instantly.
Got it.
I was listening to this podcast, ironically enough, a couple of days ago, and they said if you can turn your community and your audience into fandom, you can convert that fandom into sales, which will then convert you to have a better chance of securing bigger institutional capital.
Got it. So, in your case, it's more about community, creating a workspace and giving them the solution that they want
Mhm.
for the working spaces. There's a big role of a community. Like in your scenario, how it took, what was the impact of community, and do you take any step regarding the community about building it, about growing that to give them more traction and all? So, how's that thing working?
We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for our community. And really, what I found is that, like when you're building your community first and off, you have to find those who are dream believers, right? I had an
Got
investor
it.
once, they passed on us, and she said, "I'm not passing on you because I don't like the idea. I'm not passing on you because I don't think that you can build it. I'm passing on you because I don't love the idea. And I'm not excited about it." And she said, you need to work with people at this stage in your company, with those people who are excited about what you're building. And you need to work in your community about their excitement. And I remember when she said that, like that really, then I turned back and I looked at our customers and I looked at who we were working with, and everyone is excited about what we're doing. But when you think about building community, it's one, how do you find and locate the dream believers, right? Two is how do you articulate a story that resonates with those dream believers? And then number three is that how do you allow for them to participate in your ecosystem and in your world? And ways that we do that is that through our events and our gatherings. So what we found is that our brand voice isn't going to be the leading the charge, or we're going to go on a fire, right?
Got it.
But our brand voice is the people who are like, hey, we want to help and we want to be as authentic as possible in helping. So some of the really dope events we've had thus far that really built and drummed up our community. We had an event at the Wrkspace here in Los Angeles where we were trying to show people what an activated office space would look like. We have a couple of events coming up soon where we're doing this exploration called The Future We Work For, where we're taking industry experts and leaders and corporations and companies and having them have micro, for lack of a better term, micro TED Talks, and really having people dive in super deep into their expertise and knowledge so that our community can really understand and have actual actionable takeaways to do what they do best. And then I think another element of building community comes down to the physical space, right? So where are you doing this? And that's where we really shine by picking the right space so that people can be a line to come, right? So what was unique is like the vision space was absolutely perfect. Imagine brick building, cars, lounge space, indoor outdoor activities, three different sections in order to have an experience of walking around and walking through. And that's who we are, right? We're this space where we are a blank canvas, and when you interact with our brand, you can find your community regardless of your background.
Yeah. So currently, you are in the phase where you are serving in Los Angeles area, right?
Hmm.
Okay. And if you want to expand to, like in the next 6 months, you plan to expand it to another area of your country, or apart from your country, you want to expand. So at the time to manage the fund flow, what kind of steps you will take, and what kind of steps are taking as a secured step, or the most possible step to give you a better revenue, and that will be the good side for it. So if you are in that phase, what was the steps you will take and how to deal with that kind of situation?
Yeah, I think the number one step for expansion is having your customers expand for you.
Okay.
Um, we're hyper customer focused, and you probably hear that from every startup, right? We're customer focused. Like when I say we're hyper customer focused, I mean that our customers dictate where we go, right? So we have a customer now. They're doing some really unique things in the healthcare industry. And he was like, hey, I need an office in the Philippines. I'm like, oh, I guess we operate in the Philippines now, right? What's been great about that is that by having your customers dictate where you go and where you don't go, your expansion is pretty guaranteed, right? Because you already have a customer that is in that area, in that region, already showing promise that you can operate in that region, in that time zone, right? So I think that when you have global expansion ideas, yes, the research helps, but the practicality of having your customers tell you, like, hey, we want to be in that region. How can you service us in that region? Then that's when you should go and set up shop in that region.
Got it. So currently you are in which round of funding, like in terms of fundraising?
We are in the pre-seed right now.
Okay. So you are going to raise your seed round very soon.
Yeah, very, 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 very soon.
Okay. So, as we both are from different demography, and as demography change, mindset definitely change. Okay. So there are different kind of investor mindset. So when in your region anyone is raising pre-seed to seed round, at the time, what kind of traction investor want, what kind of metrics they want to see, like that can be user, that can be expansion plan, that can be anything. So if you are preparing for seed, what was your preparation strategy to raise the seed, and like how you are preparing it in terms of your team, in terms of your product, in terms of your business, like how it is going on?
yeah, so what I found is that investors want to see four things. Thing one is that you have a gigantic vision, right?
Okay.
That like you're like this is gonna be, and I don't think we're gigantic vision from a money perspective, but a gigantic vision in the sense of that this could be huge. That's number one. Number
Got it.
two is that from a traction perspective, they want to see some form of a working product, whether it's Wizard of Oz in the back end or whatever have you, some form of working product, which equates to some form of monetary traction, which creates to some form of community.
Got it.
Um, and then the third thing that they want to see is your your product roadmap, like where are you going and whatnot, and how are you getting there. And then the
Got
third thing is that they want to see some level of uniqueness. And what I found is that uniqueness can be the makeup of your team, the who you decided to work with, right? Your go-to-market strategy, some random weird thing that you've unlocked that only you can unlock, which then all four of those together create a moat. And once you have that moat and it's a solidified moat, it will then allow for you to have better, more engaging, more conversations of getting through, investment committee, due diligence, checks, and then ultimately a check wired, right? And then that process, as much as we want that process to be as quick as possible, I would say as quickly as I've seen, you know, first meeting to check, maybe a month. But I've seen these fundraising experiences taking upward of 24 months because the one thing is that if you have all four, there's an asterisk though. If you have all four, the asterisk is that you still have to build that relationship with those investors from like a personal and professional relationship, because what that allows for is you're starting to really build trust that like, hey, these four things I've hit, but now you can trust me and my fiduciary responsibility to not go buy a Ferrari as soon as you wire this money.
So, like, what was this? You tell us about the steps. Like, what were the things you guys are preparing for raising the seed fund? Apart from that, like, as you build at some certain level and you are in the stage where you want to expand it. Okay, so like, for the point of as a founder point of view, as you are a very niche level operator in your past. So,
Mhm.
what was the key takeaways you want to give to anyone who wants to start and who wants to raise their pre-seed round of fund? So, what was the key takeaways from your side for them?
First takeaway is rapid prototyping. If you have an idea, just do it. Right?
Okay,
You have an idea, like that's first and foremost. Like you have an idea, go out, do it, test, do it. Then you get your risky assumptions, and then test those risky assumptions, and then continue iterating and iterating and iterating. Step one. Step two, as we prepare and grow the process. So we went from rapid prototyping, testing, 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 risky assumptions, testing, testing, testing. Then asking questions to our customer base or our ICP, which is ideal customer profile, asking them questions and then seeing like, will they buy this? Will they buy that? Will they buy this? Will they buy that? Right. So then from there, seeing where technology can accelerate that process that you think, right? And then once you have that together, what's the minimum viable product that you need that you can put in market to validate all of that, right? And then if you can validate it once, how many times can you validate? And then how quickly can you validate? And then from there, once you have all of that, see, then you start to look at like, now that you've done this whole process, how can you differentiate yourself from validating that solution to that problem? And I would say and once you have all of that, right, you put it all together and you have to have a phenomenal story and
got
taking
it.
people on this like immersive journey from point A to Z. And that's how you go out and raise, right? And if you can end that story with and people paid us for it, it's perfect.
Great. So, like, as you master your pitching, like you know how your story is going on and you know how to present it. So, like, for practicing your pitches, are you using any kind of, like, before going to pitch to anyone, like that can be advisor, that can be your investor, that can be your venture capital, before going to them, if you want to do a dry run of your pitch, so like what was your approach, like when you are preparing your pitch or your pitch deck, how to present it and that thing? Just because sometime your idea has the potential, but if your storytelling is not going well in that 5 minutes of time or 15 minutes of time, definitely investor or anyone, they're not able to get like what was the crux of that idea, what was the potential in that idea. So to raise that potential, are you doing any kind of practice, or if you are doing any kind of practice, what was your process to do it? And like, if you have a framework, you can share it with us.
Oh yeah, for sure. So when I first started, I was extremely terrible at pitching.
Okay,
But when I say I was bad, right? I would go on these like long tangents and whatnot. But recently, how I've gotten to like a succinct story is, I've been able to, what I say, practice in the mirror. Occasionally, I'll practice with like a Zoom call and pitch and record myself. But I think the thing that got me really good at pitching, I got a lot of assistance from the different accelerators we were in, so that's great. But what got me idea of pitching is figuring out and talking about my company and what I'm building in a conversational tone. So I would talk about it when I would just talk to people, like not customers, but just people in general. They would be like, "Hey, so what do you do?" And I'm like, "Oh," I would say, like, "Well, let me try this and see how it lands, right?" Or it's like, "Hey, what do you do? Let me try this and see how it lands." And just kind of take that feedback back, like so, like having the opportunity when you're just having a regular conversation to like kind of put your startup in there, just kind of get an idea and feel for how you want to pitch it. The other thing that has helped tremendously is the amount of tools that are out there, right? So when you think about like your AI tools and all of those different things, allowing for them to take what you have, analyze it, and see where the gaps are, and then formulating your story or where the gaps are, right? So for example, and then the other one is asking for feedback or having the thing that like took us to our pitch over, like I would say that has gotten significantly better is having people explain back to you what you do. And
Got
if they're totally off base, you gotta figure out a way to get them to really understand what you're building. So, for example, people kept saying like, "Oh, you're like WeWork." I'm like, "No, not really." And they're like, "Oh, you're like this." I'm like, "No, not really." And people kept saying it, and then I asked finally, and you had to be open to ask, like, what about what we do makes you think of WeWork, right? And they said, "Well, this, and this," and I went, "Oh, yeah, we don't." So I'm like, okay, let me take that out, right? And I said, if I framed it like this, how does that sound? They're like, "Oh, that's a lot better." Right? Like being able to keep talking about it in a conversational tone. And the other part that I think that a lot of people miss is that when you finally get the opportunity to pitch in front of investors, the bad pitches that I still have them. I have a lot of them. I had one last week. Is when I'm trying to be a founder, right? Where I'm like, "Hey, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're doing this." But when I'm just talking about it, like, yeah, so I'm doing this thing and it does this and it does that, and it's way super authentic. We've had tremendous success in those conversations when we're just having a conversation.
Got it. So having a conversation in natural pace, that's the
Hmm.
crux of pitching. And when we are talking in that manner, definitely we are able to tell what is the problem we are going to solve, and that helps them to understand what is the thing we are going to build. Got it. So apart from this, in your whole journey, any scenario where you faced your founder is facing issue about raising the fund, and then you did some kind of operational effort that really makes sense for them to raise the fund. So any kind of conditions in your whole journey, just because you have a long journey, so in your journey, is there any kind of little stories there? And if you can tell me, that really makes sense for me.
Oh yeah, so I would say I don't even know where to start. So I mean, like I've had the resiliency, I think, of a concrete wall, and what I mean by that is that we've talked to over 100+ investors and been rejected by about that same amount of 100+ investors, right? And when you get rejected that much, you start to think it's you, right? And you're like, "Oh my God, like this is my dream, my dream, my dream." And I think the first thing I had to realize it is you, right? And that's okay. And I think that I've been able to like so like that's one thing. And then like the part that really stood out is that my entire career has really been the definition of like it's been a redemption story, right? From getting fired to then getting another job and then getting fired again and then doing this and then doing that and doing this. I think that the redemption story is that you have to throughout all of that has been crazy. I mean, being fired is a wild experience, and then getting rejected. One thing that's kept me grounded, and I think that's going to keep all founders grounded, is you gotta love the process, right? Like, regardless of if you have a job, regardless of if you are a founder and entrepreneur, you have to really like the process, right? And I remember I had breakthrough when I quote unquote got to the mountaintop of career, right? And it was at my last startup I worked at, made the most money in my life, managed the most things, had the most quote unquote power in a company in my entire life, right? Get to the mountaintop. And I get up there and I look around. And I'm like, there ain't shit up here. Like, there's nothing up here. There was, like, I didn't feel better, my anxiety wasn't lower. Yeah, I could buy a couple of more, green juices, but like, there was nothing that was like core to who I was up there. So then I remember sitting there one day and I'm like, why did I climb this mountain? Then I look back and I'm like, oh, the journey. I really enjoy climbing the mountain. Now that I've reached the summit, this is not, I don't care. So what did I do with Workspace? Climb back down and start
Got it.
over. And what I found is that, and you'll get, and everyone will get there, is that we're all trying to find our plateau, right? And then once you're on that plateau, wherever it is on this mountain, of life. You're going to walk around the plateau. You're going to go up a little bit. You're going to go back down. You're going to walk around. And I think as people keep climbing the mountain, they'll look over and see you at a plateau. What's interesting is that they don't understand that you walked all the way up the mountain. You looked over, found that there wasn't anything there, went all the way back down. And a lot of folks don't understand when you fall in love with the process, it's the going up and down the mountain is the part, right? It's not about getting to the top. It's about okay, how many times can I go up and down this mountain and keep enjoying it?
Got it. Got it. Yeah. So this is from my side. Like you gave me really great insight about startups, about your journey and your fundraising journey and how you are going to do that. Apart from that, is anything interesting like you want to add something that I missed to ask you? So you can just tell me that before we close that one. So
Yeah, yeah, no, it's funny you say that because someone asked me a question earlier, which like really like resonated with me, and it was like, why do you do this, right? Like, why? Like, what's your why? And you are gonna hear, oh, my family, oh, my kids, oh, my this, and I'm like, yeah, but what's my why? Honestly, is that this is all I have left.
yeah,
Being being rejected and fired as many times as I have from different jobs, I had a friend who told me, he said, bro, do you know you've been fired from every industry and every employment level that a human can have? And I'm like, I don't even know how I feel about that statement. But I said, yeah. And he goes, and he said, well, what are you gonna do? And I said, all I got left is Workspace. Like I got kids to feed. Like the only way I can do this is by doing it on my own, really speaking, and being an entrepreneur with a phenomenal team and the phenomenal advisors that back us, right? Is because I have kids, and I have yet to figure out how to feed them at a normal job. So my why is that like I have nowhere else to go.
nice, nice. So, like in Workspace currently, how many people you working with you, and like what was the team strength? Who all are the key players? Is there another co-founder apart
Yeah.
from you?
Yeah, so we have a co-founder named Derek. He's our CTO. We have a great UX UI team between Nikki and Phil. Another software developer, Curtis, he's amazing. We have Brisa and Cho. Brisa is really on the data team and like manipulating a lot of different data points for us to like ingest to making sure we're making really good decisions. And Cho she's on like for the operation side, and it really has been instrumental in like poking holes in our thought process so that we have more holes. And then we have phenomenal advisors from commercial real estate to software development to impact investing to go to market and go to market strategy and also from go to market strategy and then there's also vision building. So like, we have a really diverse set of team members. When I'm talking diverse, I'm talking social economic status, education. obviously gender and whatever have you. And what has really been helpful is that having all of these different types of people with a different lens has been so impactful for how we can do our work. Because unlike a lot of different companies, we're solving a problem for so many different people. So having a team that reflects our customer base has
Got it. And as you are running a big team, like as you told, it's a big team. So when you are going to any investor and they are asking for team dynamics, who all are in your team and what was the strength in the team, who all are the person who can make the show towards the happy path, and
Mhm.
what all are the contribution from them. So how you tackling this kind of questions from them, when they're asking for teams, when they're asking for unit economics, basically, like
Yeah.
just because. Yeah.
So what we found is our sweet spot is talking about the experience and how many combined years of experience we have. Like when we're talking to investors about the size of our team, and then we're talking about what they actually do. We have a person for every area. There's a huge gap, right? And what I found is investors are now saying like, okay, here's your revenue pathway. Here is the money that you're raising. And then they're trying to backwards calculate how much runway we have with the size of our team. And what's interesting is that with this round, we think we'll have about 12 to 18 months runway. And one investor said, so you paid everyone $20 a year? I said, no. We also have almost a $2 million pipeline of sales. I was like, so when revenues catch up, that 1.5 can be extended out to 18 months, even 24 months. So the investors are, when they're talking about your team size, they're trying to backwards calculate how much runway you'll actually have. And then from there to see how much risk this experience is going to be.
Got it. Great. That's a great insight for this episode. So before closing, I just want to say thanks to you for coming to my show and give us really good insights about startup, about fundraising, about attitude, how to make your attitude when you are building something. So really thank you for coming to my show, and all the best for your seed journey. Definitely we will connect in future, and we will
Yes.
till the point we are going to end this episode, we are going to unleash your next chapter journey in that.
Yes, yes, I really appreciate it. I'm so thankful and honored to be here with you and your community, and super excited to see where this goes. And who knows, we'll probably be in your country very, very soon.
Sure, sure.